Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Prestigio, and this is Limbus Company. So I logged on just to get rid of Smekaflin, and then this popped up. So I will go through this dialogue. Dante. Mephistopheles doesn't roar and grumble ahead all day long. Mephisto is an engine that needs rest from time to time, much like how Charon is still a human who needs regular breaks. Are you still awake, Miss Faust? There are a few things left to check. As the engine is treated harshly during operation, it needs to be well maintained while at rest. To substantiate her words, Faust carried light tools and a small mechanical device in place of her usual Zooey-hander. You're working hard. This barely counts as work. To witness Faust's magnum opus Cordy being overworked with no time for care takes a greater toll, rather. She said this after making a light smile. Do you like this update in particular? Faust looked down at me using a handheld device. Oh, this thing? Yes, I believe previously you weren't fiddling with it as often. It's nothing much, I was just making the most of this new feature I've needed. Whenever Faust requests a break for routine maintenance, my LCB PDA also receives updates. The updates occasionally come with additional functions, and this time... A note. The device didn't have this functionality until now. It didn't, surprisingly enough. You didn't know that. I thought you were omniscient, Faust. Faust only knows everything that Faust knows. Pardon me for a moment. She took a peek at the screen of my tablet. Are you attempting to write an encyclopedia, Dante? I mean, you keep using words I don't know, stuff like fixers or whatever wings are. It might be common vocabulary for you all, but not me. I understand. I do suppose you've lost all memory of the city. Yep. So I want to write down most stuff here, and copy down the things I've been scribbling on paper while I'm at it. This clock on my shoulders could be replaced with yet another head at any moment. There's no guarantee the memories I have right now will stay with me. That's why I must prepare a backup plan like this, so I don't forget twice. Okay.
연설 시간에 맞춰 오셨군요.
Alright, so they added daily login. Okay, sure. Goes for, I'm guessing, a month. Or the rest of this month. Receive all. Make it viewable. Okay. Is there anything else you're wanting to tell me? I don't think I've missed anything else. Not sure what that's all about. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here, and when we come back, we'll continue. Okay, so another update, and of course they decided to put the story stuff as I log in, so here we are. What the hell? Without warning, the bus ground to a sudden halt in the back streets. We'll stop here today. Charon, I fear we haven't quite reached the destination. We're approximately 15% short of the target location. Considering our schedule, proceeding at least 3% farther would be ideal. Charon, sleepy. Excellent bus drivers. Don't drive all sleepy. Got it. Just stop stomping the brakes every damn time. Do you know how much you've done? Do you know how much you've done this? Forsooth, Sir Heathcliff had crashed his nose onto the back of the front seat for the 4th time, which must signify that this is the 4th screeching halt to occur. Leave the wheel as soon as you start feeling sleepy, said the radio. That's a good point. but you need to be a bit more flexible about that sort of thing. Huh. A statement as plain as that can be quite amusing depending on who says it. Ha! The minted boy agrees with me, eh? It's funny when the least flexible one says that kind of gabble. What was that? If that's what you're playing at, what about the old windbag over there who still thinks she's a wartime general? Ishmael pointed to Otis, whose veins were beginning to stick out on her veteran and placid face. This is a prime example of the terror of learned fear. It's happened enough to be familiar, but it's still rather intimidating to hear Virgilius send the bus into chilling silence with a single gesture or utterance. What is it? You were all happily chattering moments ago. No reason not to continue. Weren't you signed to go on a proper rampage after? I was stretching. Felt a bit stiff. Load of. It's laughable how you behave. You're like dogs that drool at the sound of a bell. If you got complaints, remember that my office in the back always has open hours. I'll make time for consultations. Miss Faust, I leave the rest to you. Of course. Virgilius nonchalantly walked past the Centers and their piercing stares with Charon at his side, and both stood at the back of the bus. Open, Pirelli. It's sesame, Charon. Charon knows. It's not like magic phrases are what open doors anyway. I suppose so. While they exchanged corny jokes, the door large enough to fill the backside slowly opened. Been a few months, but it still weirds me out every time I see it. It's bigger on the inside, right? As the back door opened, a splendid, narrow, deep, spacious hallway revealed itself. An endless corridor that looked to go on forever. Far into this hallway, classy poles demarcate the end of the area we're allowed to traverse, standing in front of unending lines of red lights. Though the place seems comfy, something about it makes eerie feelings creep up. Now that I think about it, is that one of those singularities belonging to a wing? Frau Faust, do you know anything? Of course it is known, but I am certain that you do not know that I cannot speak. I'm certain that you know that I cannot speak of them in much detail, Herr Gregor. Could stand to be a bit nicer about it. This is a corridor. That's correct. It's a corridor. Sure is. Long hallway with doors to rooms on the sides. Of course it's a corridor. F. What are you trying to... Whatever. I'm too tired. Dante, please hurry on with it. Gregor's words snapped me out of idly staring down to the edge of the passage. Oh yeah, right. Dante, while I understand that you may feel it to be unnecessary repetitive act, simply put, the executive manager's approval is a vital part of the procedure. Please understand. No need to put it like that, Miss Faust. With that answer, I got up from my seat at the front of the bus, looking at the crew. I hereby confirm today's close of business for the Centers. Thank you. Starting now, you'll be given a maximum of 12 hours to partake in sleep and rest, duration subject to change. Have a good night. As soon as Faust finished speaking, the Centers walked along with groans and sighs. Geez, man, I'm whipped. A fine night, young Sinclair. Let's say you another game of chess? No thanks, Don Quixote. You always run to Mr. Yi Sang for hints whenever you're losing. That is untrue, Sinclair. That was because I could not bear to watch the grievous misplacements. But that's even worse. Bonjour, manager. And thank you for today's work. As for tonight's watch... Oh, Marisol. Thanks for suggesting. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling sleepy today. Then Otis suddenly intervened. Executive Manager, allow me to remind you that I am always willing to stand in for the night watch duty if you ever feel fatigued. Yeah, babushka de compt. How's about we get inside now? Executive Manager, your daytime hard work must... Sure, let's get you to bed. Ishmael gave me a small nod and then proceeded to draggingly chaperone Otis through the back door with Rhoda. Then at last Faust and I remained. That was fortunate, Dante. Had they not forced Otis to retire, she would have nagged you for the duty of night watch for quite a while again. Does happen a lot. I commented back as I watched the sinners head into the corridor, one after another. After Rhoda has entered and closed the door, Ishmael opens the same to get inside. You said the door leads to a different space each time it opens, right? Yes. As long as the sinner is in the right mental condition, the door will lead to lodging appropriate for rest and personal use. Lodging, is it? They looked more like jail cells last time I peeked through the window. Still, she must mean it can be used as a personal living space. For sleep, showers, self-care, and all that. You seem to have questions besides that. My clock has no eyes, nose, or mouth, and yet, somehow it feels as though Faust reads something out of me. Not that she'll tell me how she manages it. You know, just curious about what's over there. I pointed down to the far end of the corridor with my finger. Right to the horizontal depths of the seemingly endless corridor. As I have told you repeatedly, it is best not to be curious about it, Dante. As expected, Faust chose to walk into the corridor with a faint sigh instead of a real answer. And yet, just maybe, Faust knew all along. She knows it all, as she likes to say. Maybe she knew that I would learn about what lies beyond in the corridor soon enough. Okie dokie. What do you got for me, game?
연설 시간에 맞춰 오셨군요.
Maintenance compensations.
기특하군요.
More of this. Oh, there's new EGOs, or new extractions, but they're not anything I care about. I mean, the only thing I could no, actually, there's nothing. There's stuff for Faust if you do need, if you for whatever reason don't have, I think it still includes. I do believe it includes the. Actually, I can't. I don't think I can look it up. Can I? No, because I already have the characters, don't I? No, there it is. Okay. Yeah, if you missed the one who grips, this is an opportunity to try for her again. And then you got the dimensional shredder stuff, which has more, which includes some EGO extractions, as well as. No, that's it. It's just EGO stuff. Okay. Not a big deal. Alright. So as mentioned, I don't really care for the EGO stuff, or for at least for those characters. And the only EGO I care for that it's still missing is from Don Quixote here. And I can easily get telephone pole if I really want to. Alright, anything else of note? Okay, so they closed the line closure for this. I didn't finish it because I was way too grindy, or the battles took way too long in my opinion. So, didn't really worry about that type of stuff. Okay, that's fine. Oop, didn't mean to click that. So, okay, so there's Hell's Chicken stuff. The event's closed, which of course I didn't grind for. Okay, yeah, still nothing else of note. Just some new extractions and then some random plot stuff. I'm assuming there's... Oh, cool. I think this was mentioned in the previous little part I showed. Where Dante was writing in his journal. I think this is his notes. Do I really want to go through all this? You know what? Why not? Dante's notes. I'm not sure where to even start. I guess it's only natural, given that I can't tell how much I forgot to begin with. Maybe I'll start by making notes whenever I run into things I don't remember. Limbus Company, the place I work for. It's a name that should be the most closely related to me, but it's also the hardest to describe for me, because they won't tell me anything. I didn't join the company of my own accord. At first, I thought the company's initiative was to find and retrieve the golden bows, but that only seems to be our department's goal, not the entire company. From what I can tell, each department has its own aims, and there's no common goal shared by all of them. It looks like the company has substantial backing. The company's support was never lacking whenever we got its help, though Rhoda seems to have a lot to say about the meals. Oh, got it. Sinners. Seems to be a term that refers to the 12 people on the LCB's bus with me. Based on conversations I overheard, they appear to have joined the company symbol similar to how I did, but they've been nicknamed like they're bound here somehow. I asked Vergilius about the term, but he didn't give me a clear answer. Him and his "you'll see in due time," he's shut down several questions with remarks like that. Looks like I have no other option here. I gotta write down whatever I learn. Adding a couple new discoveries about the centers. First, it looks like center is specifically used to refer to those who formed a contract that I have had no choice of opting out with me. And it appears they're the only people I can bring back to life with my clock. The centers might be the only ones who can resonate with the golden bows we seek. When we approach one, it seems to reveal the fathoms of the center's ego, making us experience their past or peer into their psyche. Golden bows. Small branch-shaped objects that emit a golden glow. Don't really feel like tree branches. My head gets these tingling sensations whenever I get close to one. Whatever these are, they certainly aren't your ordinary gilded twigs that were made to go after. The LCB. Limbus Company Bus. Its name comes from the fact that we're on a bus. Feels like they didn't put much thought into the name, but the other departments aren't far ahead in terms of sophistication. The team includes people like me and the ones called sinners, who are sitting back behind, still not used to this word. The purpose is to retrieve things called golden bows from the underground facilities of lobotomy, or whatever the L course stood for. Don't know what golden bows are, but from the sound of it, some physical objects shaped like tree branches. We'll make a separate note when I learn more, which he already did. Seems retrieving golden bows isn't the only job. We're sent to deal with any task on the way to the company's objective that needs capabilities unique to me or the sinners. I'm starting to wonder how this company came to be, and why it had to be me and the sinners to do all of this. But Faust won't tell me. She says the security level is too low for me to access the information, but she seems to know something more. Why does a sinner know more about the company when I'm the executive manager? The LCC, Limbus Company Clearance. Its name comes from the fact they clear things up and out. It was formed to aid the bus team's work. Unlike the sinners, I can't revive them with my powers, which explains the cab put into their gear and equipment. The department seems to split into two teams. The before team, LCCB, handles scouting and preparation work, while the after team, LCCA, handles gathering and cleaning up what we've done. I haven't met them yet, but the team seem to be divided into several sections if Vergilius' phone calls are anything to go by. Met with Effie and Sade from the preliminary observation of the before team. I asked them a few questions. When I had the time, I'll try to write down what I learned. Also wanted to ask what exactly they do, but the session got interrupted by Don Quixote suddenly causing a scene. Effie sighed that preliminary observation pays the least out of all before team subsections. Judging from what I heard about the department having far more staff than the others, they might be treated as expendables. Effie and Sade died during our operation. The Nest seems to be a term that refers to urban centers in the city. The city is divided into multiple sections, and each of them comprises a nest and a backstreets portion. A nest is basically under the management and protection of a conglomerate called a wing, while the backstreets aren't too big of an influence, I think. I asked Vergilius if I came from a nest or the backstreets, but he ignored me. K-Corps. Located in District 11's nest, as evidenced by our nightmarish battle at the checkpoint, K-Corp's singularity seems to give the user the capability to continuously heal or regenerate rather than their body. Faust called it heliposis. but it seems to be more commonly referred to as HP bullets or ampoules by regular citizens of the city. Thanks to that, all the sinners died, and I almost fainted bearing 12 people's worth of pain at once. But those HP ampoules did also help restore my melted lower half to perfectly good health. K-Corps seems to be utilizing this technology for a number of industries. According to Samjo, an employee we met at Onbongs, the wing might also be developing food-related tech using the Singularity. Elcor, full name, Lobotomy Corporation. Its nest was in District 12, a fallen wing, its spot currently vacant. It was apparently the epicenter of the citywide event called the White Nights and Dark Days, which everyone seems to know, except for me, or would that be the Amasia? Or if you played Library of Runa. Actually, no, sorry, not Library of Runa. If you played, Lobotomy Corporation. The facilities we searched through for the Golden Bows all once belonged to this now defunct Elcor. Encore. Nagil und Hammer, located in District 14's nest. Nagil obviously means nail. Upon having spoken with Mirasalt, apparently there are two factions on the names of Nail and Hammer. According to him, the armor-clad inquisitors we faced weren't nearly as prevalent when we worked for the wing, or when he worked for the wing. They weren't the majority faction during this time there. Unlike the group led by Cromer, Encore as a whole doesn't appear too different from other big corporations outside some rigidness. Not sure what its main business is, but some sinners seem to know a couple of things about the wing. If only they'd speak to me at all about it. Wings, companies with the most advanced and influential technology in their district, practically ruling over them. Supposedly they're corporate entities, but the more I hear about the wings, the more they sound like governing bodies. Come to think of it, Limbus Company doesn't seem to fit the conventional idea of a company either. We're on a bus all the time, for one. Each wing has trademark technologies called Singularities and uses the funds earned from them in ridiculous taxes to manage the high-class urban area inside its district, known as a nest. People who work at a wing seem to be nicknamed Feathers. Syndicates seems to be what they call all kinds of gangs and organizations in the city. The term covers such a wide range of things you can call pretty much any group of people together under a name as a syndicate. The associations seems to refer to the large organizations that manage fixers. Each association appears to have a specific field it specializes in to account for how free and open a fixer's line of work can usually be. There's a pretty wide variety, and I've seen a few associations through the identities of sinners and their mirror worlds. One major difference from freelance fixers is that they can't choose the jobs they want to take. She Association. They seem to specialize in assassination requests. Should note that it doesn't exactly mean that they're the only fixers who ever take assassination jobs. To start requesting an associate fixer is going to cost a fortune. Plus, the demand for assassination is awfully high in the city, so even unknown offices on obscure streets seem to get those requests pretty often. The backstreets. Areas of district not included in the nest. Outside of the wing's domain, the residents are mostly people who can't afford to live in the nest. Each area is stacked with restaurants, local businesses, living quarters, schools, academies, and a variety of other facilities. As the name suggests, though, the roads tend to be twisted and intertwined, and there's a constant air of dampness wherever you go. Fun thing I've noticed is that the boundaries between the backstreets and the nest were clearly drawn in every district I've visited, though I've only been to like 3 of them. The Blade Lineage, a syndicate of sword-wielding ruffians and libertines roaming the backstreets. Guessing from conversations with the sinners who wore such identities, they don't seem to act or move in groups, much despite belonging to a syndicate. To be more precise, they do have temporary company from time to time, but there's no strict subgroups or pecking order. It's unfortunate that half of their answers were taking the piss, so I'm unable to write proper answers here. The Kurokumo clan. A giant syndicate spread deep and wide across the backstreets. They seem to be characterized by long, single-edged swords with sheathed in dark, wavy clothes. They basically earn their keep by taking protection fees from the backstreets businesses under the pretext of offering safety. From what I heard from the identities, they seem to be in some kind of conflict with another syndicate called the Blade Lineage. I didn't get to hear the reason. They follow some sort of hierarchy, and henchmen are generally forbidden from disobeying their superiors. There do seem to be special exceptions if Honglu is to be believed. The city's technology. For turning rudimentary cogs to overlaying an alternate identity via mirror, the city has every level of technology. Identities. An invention that overlays a person's identity with a different possibility of numerous other worlds. I heard Yi Sang was one of its developers, but he always blabbers things I can't wrap my head around whenever I ask, so I don't expect to get any useful down-to-earth info out of him. The identities themselves are found via the engine of Mephistopheles. Not sure how it works, but it looks like you can't just find and grab the identities you want. Trial and error can sometimes stumble upon previously unseen versions of the centers too. Although I can't write how exactly those identities are used in full, feels like attempting to makes me unsure somehow. Synchronizing the extracted identity with my LCB PDA and the bus window allow me to communicate with or feel it in a way. Calling forth the image of the identity in my mind, I get a sense of understanding as if I'm talking to the center as like usual. And once the center and I make an unspoken agreement, the identity overrides the center, accompanied by the sound of glass shattering. Can't think of a more suitable description. While overlaid with an identity, the center appears pretty different from the usual. On top of attires and weapons, their personalities can also change pretty widely, and sometimes makes me question if they're really the centers I know. Fortunately, they seem to go back to their original selves when they're done using an identity, but prolonged use might cause small side effects like residual traces of the identity's personality surfacing from time to time. I do like how it's kind of describing how the gacha summoning process is. Fixers. Sort of freelancers who take care of or help with various jobs and requests in the city. They don't work for free, of course. The whole society seems to be based around money. But I don't think I can say for sure that there are absolutely no fixers willing to do charity work, I guess. The ones I've seen and heard about were from all walks of life, too diverse for me to neatly summarize. If talking with mirrored identities counts, too. Maybe it's a common career. Apparently, you can't be a fixer just because you want to. Some fixer-related identities told me that there are tests you need to pass to earn a license. Looks like fixers are graded from a number, 9 being the lowest and 1 being the highest. There's also a special grade called being a color. Vergilius appears to be one. He has the moniker of the Red Gaze. He's supposedly pretty skilled and famous. And there you go. That's cool. So just some real quick other things I want to check. So one thing I'm trying to check here is okay. So if for whatever reason you do miss the story bits that appear whenever you log in, that is under Dante's notes here. So that's cool. I at least know where to look if I need to rewatch them for recording purposes. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I know there wasn't much going on. It's mostly just story updates and stuff. But that's going to be it for right now until the next update. So I'm the Depressed Dealer. This was Limbus Company. I'll see you guys later.